Hey, what's up? It's Autumn.
It's Katie.
And this is Seriously.
Seriously.
What's up? Okay, stop.
I got so excited.
I know. Well, we're always excited.
Really exciting
when we have guests.
We have a guest.
2 weeks in a row.
Yes.
Or 3 weeks, actually. 3 weeks in a row.
Is it? Yeah. Because the part two thing.
Of,
yeah. I get you.
3 weeks in a row, we have guests. We are really like powering through this vision board of like, we want to do what we said we were going to do.
100%.
So this week, we have this beautiful young lady. Anjail Thompson is with us. She is a new author, right? This is your first book?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Perfect.
So she's a new author. Her book is called A Girl Set Free. Look, Anjail, please, I don't want to get it wrong. It's a book of poetry. And so we thought it would be... Okay, so first of all, let me back up for a second.
Yeah, weird.
How we even...
Plowing through this. How do we get to
How we
know
even
her?
Heard
Yes.
of you, like where that even came from. So we have this mutual friend.
All
the
of
three
us.
of us
Yeah.
have this mutual friend, and he actually sent it to us and was like, "Yeah, you gotta check it out. She's fantastic. I feel like you'll be able to connect with her." So I read the book and immediately was like, what's her number?
Yeah,
I need you to put me in contact with her. Like, this is fantastic." He was absolutely 100% correct. The vibe was exactly what we are about, which is, being vulnerable and honest and just really sharing your story with the means and the hopes of being able to help heal, connect with, other people. And, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that felt like where you were with things.
Yeah, definitely.
And so we thought it would be fantastic to have you on. But I'm like, hey,
I know.
Before we get into the book,
she's going a mile a minute.
I know. No. Before we get into the book, how was everybody's week?
This is always a loaded question. Yeah.
I know.
This is always like one of those. Go for it.
Don't feel pressure to have had something.
My week was stressful. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my God.
I go to school full time. I work full time. So I'm trying to still find that balance, even though I'm in the middle of the semester. I'm trying to find that balance of school and work and school and everything being virtual.
Right.
It's a little difficult.
Yeah.
Because I'm also in a group in one of my classes, and I'm like,
Girl.
how do you expect me to reach out to everyone and get a group going? And then since everything is virtual, everyone is on their own time.
Yeah, that's
and then
the hard part.
Yeah. It's
Angel.
like, you have people that are from different states and different countries. So it's like, we don't have the same time.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's frustrating. And I feel like I'm just like leading the group, and I'm trying not to be bossy, but I'm just like, I just want an A, guys. I just want
Well,
I would be just like her.
Listen, you are being so absolutely sweet about the whole
so
thing.
Nice.
Because
nice.
I'm gonna tell you what.
You would not be.
I hate group projects.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie.
We know.
Because I've been ready to, it's hard to get everybody given the same level of effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you be feeling like you doing a whole lot and other people just sort of kind of like skating by, and you're like,
Well, she's like me though. She's like me because look, we are gonna give our best, and I don't care if that means I gotta take the whole thing on.
Yeah.
We're gonna get an A.
Yeah.
Like that's how that's going down.
And then I'm gonna be ready to punch you in your face
and then
because you didn't do nothing.
And then we're just gonna keep moving. Yep.
So bless you.
Yes.
Bless your sweet spirit.
You are a very nice person.
I'm trying to be as sweet as I can until I can't anymore, because I refuse. I have high expectations of myself, and that's my fault, and that's my problem. I can't expect anyone to understand my expectations.
Yeah.
I go to Rutgers, and I have not gotten anything lower than a B. I've gotten
that's what's up.
every semester, and I plan to keep it that way. So I refuse to let anybody bring me down. So if I gotta,
Black girl magic.
Like, come on, let's do this. We gotta do it. Then I'm gonna do it.
That spirit.
That's what you gotta do. That's what you gotta do.
So
that's
here,
awesome.
So here you also kind of fall under both, because we just celebrated and had this whole entire theme of Black History Month.
Yep.
On the podcast, so everything was everybody was getting these Black History facts like every single week. every week. But then you also fall into March,
which is
National Women's Month.
It's Women's History.
Women's History.
So close. But yes,
God.
We're still celebrating women.
All right.
Regardless.
Okay.
So
great.
you got Black History and you got women. So you falling into both categories.
And Jamaican history. I think that's the other part
There
here.
you go.
Yeah.
So
very cool.
Right on point. Okay. So do you have? I'm sorry. I let her.
You are so excited. I'm excited. You were like, yes.
It's probably this coffee.
It's probably the.
I was going to say that. I think it's the coffee.
It is. I am legit on.
Although
it's very strong today.
I've been here for a while. Like I've been at the house for a minute. And I feel like you've heated that thing up.
No, this is a new cup.
New cup. Okay, then we've had a lot of coffee today. Yeah.
How was your week?
I'm trying to think of anything. I'm in the same boat. I'm doing virtual school, and I just had to apply for $13,000 worth of federal loans. So that's fun.
That's always a good time.
Yeah, no.
That's always a good time.
Oh no.
I was like, it's worth it. It's worth it.
It is.
So,
it is. I was telling her the other day, somebody told me that if you were going to we take out loans for everything.
Yes,
Cars,
yes.
houses, go on vacation. If you're going to make an investment in anything, the best investment is always in yourself. You are your biggest asset. So never be afraid. If you're going to take out a loan, don't be afraid to take out a loan to better you.
Yeah.
You always are. That's always going to be your best bet.
I haven't had to take out any loans like since my junior year.
That's awesome.
So that's a blessing. But when I first had to take out my loan, I was like, oh my God, my chest hurts. No.
Oh, right there with you. It's terrible. It's a terrible feeling.
It's like I can't do it, Jesus. I can't
breathe.
So much money. So much. Oy.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother podcast in itself about what we are doing to our youth with and you.
What happened?
Oh my God.
What'd I do?
She caught it.
What'd I do? Did I do something stupid?
No.
Oh,
I said what we're doing to our youth
and me.
You.
Thanks. Thank you. That's fair. It's fair.
With this debt. Right? With this college debt. It's just
I'm anticipating not having to pay it back.
Oh, that would be nice.
Wouldn't that be great? I'll just be like, maybe.
Yeah, Biden come through.
Oh,
please.
yeah. I'm definitely leaning towards that.
Biden come through.
Somebody would just be like, nah, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
I don't know if they're going to say that but you know.
Here's the other part. I'm just never going to stop going to school.
Then you never have to pay it. Yeah.
Never have to pay it back.
You just put me onto something.
Yeah. Yes. Just a forever student. Forever student.
Yeah.
Always learning.
As long as you go halftime, you're good. Yeah. Okay. How about you?
Yeah.
How was your week?
Okay. So two things. Number one.
Are we going where I think we're going with this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So two things. Number one, I don't know if you wanted to talk about it or not, but I just really wanted to shout out this photo shoot.
Oh God.
That we just did because you fantastic.
Oh,
fantastic.
Yeah.
So we just did hair, makeup, photo shoot, head to toe, right before we got started today.
I've since downplayed that a little bit.
She's always beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, she was banging.
So backstory though, because I think it's important. Like it's not a very comfortable place, right? At least for me, I don't like being in front of a camera. I have a lot of body self-image things. You know, most of us females have something like that. And if you don't, you're super blessed. And I envy the heck out of you, which is where that led us is, you know, we've been friends forever.
Yeah.
One of her really big strengths is photography and just beauty and just confidence. Like she exudes that, like it's just everywhere, which is a good thing. Yeah. Despite the weird sound I just made.
Sounded a little like vomit. That's okay.
It's fair. So I think in moving forward and just in growing as a person, like one of those things that I wanted to try to do was step out of that comfort zone. You know, that's where the growth is. So I was like, hey, I'm down if you're down. And she literally was like, put the date in the phone right now. Like, set it up.
We're doing
it. So today was the day. And it was
fantastic.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to have to come over. I don't know if y'all can see these eyebrows, but like they're sick. They're like,
they're
shut
sweet.
up. They are
They are no joke. Look, today it is
no joke.
I love a good eyebrow.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
do.
gonna lie. It changes your whole face.
I said, I'm coming over every day for you to put my eyebrows on. Like, that's how I'm just going to move in
That's
for
how
that.
serious.
Yeah.
Just
So
for that.
anyway, it was a good time. She made me feel really comfortable. It was a little bit of like getting out of that,
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
was a lot of fun.
It was good.
No lie. It was
good.
fun.
It
Yeah.
turned out good. The
Yeah.
pictures are gonna be absolutely
It
beautiful.
was a good time.
So
Okay,
that was
so-
the one thing
yeah.
today that was great.
I can't wait for the next
and
one.
then the next thing is that Anjail, okay, so you have not been following along with this, but I've had this whole dentist tooth saga that has
Son.
been absolutely.
So I never even saw it. Okay. All right.
I had
I
this
see it.
tooth saga with the dentist that has been carrying on for months. Do you hear me?
Months.
Months. It's finally over.
Thank God.
So I
Oh,
had this
goodness.
one tooth
One that cost
Here
him
on
out
the
of a
side.
car.
that I was trying to get a crown, an implant on, and
Yeah.
I finally got it done. So now I can do my little Colgate smile from all
I
angles.
said, you
Look.
better. You just smile your face off. Just
Yeah, so that's y'all getting
Yeah.
all these teeth. I mean, all of them, all day. Look, you gonna be talking about something sad, and I'm still gonna be smiling
gonna be
because
smiling.
these
I
teeth
can't.
cost me like 11 grand. So
Oh my goodness.
yeah. See, look.
Yeah, you best smile.
yeah.
Yeah. For that 11
get
grand.
all So that was my
Amazing.
week. That was my week. So I'm glad that
Thank
that's
God. That's over.
finally over.
Guess where you're never going back?
To that dentist.
No.
Listen, they tried to tell me, they were like, oh, you actually have a small cavity. I said, you can stop right there. I'm not coming back.
No.
I'm going to need you to collect all of my records. Thank you very much.
I'm
And
gonna
they were
take those with me.
Yeah, she goes, well, do you want us to
Nope.
give them to you, or do you want us
Nope.
to send them? I was like, I'm taking
In my
them
hands.
now. Mine, right now. I'm not going to be back. They were like, okay.
She wasn't kidding.
They were sick of me. It's been a whole thing.
She wasn't kidding.
They were probably happy to see me go. They threw a little party. It was a lot. So
Balloons,
anyway,
confetti.
yeah, it was. You know, it was a
Yay.
whole thing. All right. So anyway, now that we have gotten through all of that,
Yes,
let's
it's a
get
lot.
into this book.
Yes.
Hey.
Let's get into this book. Let's get into this thing. So, I read it, and immediately I was like, whew, right? Like I felt like I was like just emotional.
Yeah.
And especially, and I guess we can really get into this, but you do have one particular poem, and we can talk about, obviously, because you're the author and exactly where you were coming from with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, from my point of view, I think as women, and I don't know if I should give my point of view first or yours, or where we're going to go with this, but I feel like as women, we find ourselves in positions where it's almost like that uncomfortable, like we're cool, we're like we're cool, you're a friend, or we're familiar, or we were kind of on this date, or we were kind of, but then you're making me sort of uncomfortable, and so I'm like I'm trying to say no, but it's hard to say no, but you're not. I want to be cool, but because I don't want to create animosity and feelings, but then at the same time, this is not making me comfortable, and like how that situation can kind of escalate and get away from you. And I think we've all, in one way or another, been in that place where we walked away from it, even if it didn't escalate to the point of where things escalated with you, that you can still walk away feeling like just like grimy, like, oh, that didn't go, you know what I mean, the way I wanted it to, or, you know, I'm just feeling some type of way. And I think that's a common experience, and one that we tend to play down and to not really talk about, and almost like, I don't even know if it's like shame or I don't know.
No, I think shame is the right word too.
Yeah.
I think that's 100%.
Okay.
So yeah, tell us a little bit and give us the title for the poem that we're speaking about. And I know it's a 3-part thing in the book itself. Side note, I've read it 4 times, the book, which, you know, and every time pulled something different from it. In particular, that series of those poems. So give us that, and then definitely where that comes from for you, and if you're comfortable with that. So yeah.
One thing about poetry and sharing it is that you can write a poem and the reader can interpret it a different way, how they want to perceive it. I'm not going to sugarcoat, the poem. The poem is called Didn't You Want This? I was sexually assaulted by someone that I considered a friend. We were just hanging out, and it led to that point where, there was no consent.
Yeah.
And I went home feeling like I was just like, it was my fault.
Wow.
Because I knew this person had feelings for me, and maybe I shouldn't have went over there. Maybe I led them on. And that's how I felt being a 14-year-old. When you're 14, you have all of these emotions and all of these, hormones, and you're a little naive, So it actually took until 2 years ago for me to realize, I was actually sexually assaulted. For me to go to therapy for something unrelated. And
isn't that
sometimes,
how it always goes?
Sometimes a lot of times when something traumatic happens to you, the brain suppresses it to protect you. And that's exactly what happened.
Right.
I went to therapy, and it just like, wow, like that happened to me.
Right.
The therapist actually had to tell me, yes, that happened to me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I couldn't believe it. And I'm
Now,
like, that's
Anjail,
supposed to be my friend.
Now,
Yeah.
not to get too into it, but I think that this is kind of relevant if you're comfortable with it. What triggered you to go to therapy in the first place, right? So, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
What
manifested.
Right.
Yeah.
What you're saying is I have these repressed things. Other stuff was going on. And then in the midst of dealing with that, I found out about this.
Exactly. So when I was 18, my dad was diagnosed with brain cancer.
Oh my goodness.
I was taking care of him. I am number 8 of 9 siblings. I was the only one taking care of him, taking him to doctor's appointments, and having him stay at a place that wasn't even originally my own. I was taking care of him there. And in the process of taking care of him, my brother was murdered.
Oh my goodness.
So when my brother was murdered, my dad gave up.
Yeah.
He didn't want to continue to live. And I tried. He didn't want to do chemo. He didn't want to do radiation. And 8 months to the day of my brother's passing, my dad died. So I was just very numb.
Yeah.
And my mom begged me to go to therapy. And I wasn't ready until I had a mental breakdown. And I'm like, okay, I've got to go.
Yeah.
Therapy. So that's what led me to go to therapy. I had to go for myself.
So first of all, kudos to mom. That's a mother that loves you, 100%. You know what I mean? That to push you to get to that place. And everything you're saying is like have like another question too. What a couple things too. Okay. How old are you now?
Yeah, that was
I
one.
am 25.
Okay. So to be 25 and to have this much life happen, and for you to be, glowing, like that is in and of itself is like, girl, miracles. Okay. Yeah, miracles. But what was your resistance to therapy? Like, was there anything,
or was it even on your radar? Did you think that was even an option, or something that you could,
with so much having to be, going on in your life, what was making you feel like that wasn't something that you really wanted to do?
I was so numb to the point where I felt nothing.
Okay.
So I was just like, I didn't need it, because if I felt nothing, that I'm fine.
That's where a lot of people are.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you said that.
Like, if I don't feel it, then it doesn't exist, and I must be fine.
Like, no, that's not true.
Right.
Did it manifest in any other sense for you? Did it take on any self-sabotaging behaviors or maladaptive stuff? Things that.
Yeah. Well, and I'm gonna be as real as I can be.
Yes.
And it manifested into like me engaging in a lot of like terrible sexual behavior.
Yeah, ditto.
So,
we've been there. Yeah.
I can really open up and talk about my past because it's not like, you know, it's something that I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And
Girl,
it's very
because you're not the
relatable
only
to
one.
people.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
the only
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
very relatable. So,
Yeah,
you know, it
absolutely.
did
1000%.
engage into that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited. I know we are so and proud of you for being open because again,
Yeah.
it's these things that we shame ourselves in silence,
Mhm.
feeling like we're the only person, and we're not. And there's something to it because if all of us are doing it, there's something to it, and it's not that you're a bad person. There's a lot of brokenness, and when we're broken, we we start doing things that are not necessarily the healthiest to try to correct that
Right.
Yeah.
or address it.
Yeah, I
Right.
think another, that trying to find that value or that self-worth in those behaviors. I did the same thing, and it felt like the right thing to do. And I think the question I was bringing up for you was outside of the sexual behaviors, was there anything else outside of that you can like now go back and say, hey, this is how this was manifesting for me? And also along the same kind of line of questioning, was there any, when mom was like, hey, you should look into therapy, or you should talk to somebody else that's more qualified or capable of handling that. How did that conversation go for you? And was it like a one time and you were good? Like you were like, hey, I hear you and I'm going to go. Or was it like mom banging on the door a whole bunch,
I just kept telling her no. She was afraid that it was almost as though I was emotionless. I just lost two men in my life in a period of less than a year.
Right.
And she was just afraid that I was just going to do something to myself or something was going to happen. And she didn't want to lose another child.
Yeah.
So she wanted me and she banged into my head, like, you need to go to therapy. I'll go with you, but you need to talk to someone because you not handling it the way that you should is very unhealthy. So
Yeah.
for my mom, I did go, and
Okay.
it was one of the best things I could have done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How long are you still in therapy? How long?
I was there for a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Which then started to uncover things that you didn't even realize. You went from one thing.
Yeah. Everything
Ain't that how it always
started to
goes?
unravel so quickly, and
It's like a string.
that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to go, is because I wasn't prepared to face everything.
Yeah.
I knew
Okay.
that I knew I had to face the deaths, but I knew that a lot of things were going to reach the surface that I wasn't ready for. And that's mainly one of the reasons why I wasn't ready to go to therapy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this book, let's tie this book into here. Was writing this book a part of therapy?
You know, it wasn't gonna be a book at first.
Okay.
That was a part of the therapy. The thing I was dealing with PTSD and panic disorder from losing, them.
Yeah.
So she said, well, is there something that you used to do, hobby wise? And I'm like, I used to actually write poetry. And she says, well, why don't you do that? And I'm like, I haven't really thought about it. The first poem that I wrote was when I was in middle school, and it was a poem about fried chicken. And that was about it. So
listen, I feel like I want to hear that poem.
Yeah.
I don't remember how it went, but I actually won the poetry slam for that.
How crazy.
Stop it.
That's fantastic.
Girl, that fried chicken must have been off the hook.
Yeah. So she told me to start writing poetry again, and I did. And she told me to bring it in, which I was afraid of because it was a lot of stuff that I didn't want her to feel as though, hey, I think you should stay longer because I think you're just very depressed.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, I brought it to her and she cried. She said, Anjail, you have a gift. You should do
Walk
something
in
with
this.
it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I didn't write just for that. I wrote because you told me to. And I wrote.
She gave me an assignment.
I'm not trying to brag on
you gave me an
myself.
assignment to write, and I wrote. So
do you journal also, just in general, outside of poetry, or no?
I don't.
Okay. Okay. Just curious. I think because we've talked about that on our show before, about how journaling can be very therapeutic, just putting whatever's inside just onto paper, and sometimes it gives clarity, and I didn't know if that's kind of a natural transition for you.
The thing is, my journaling becomes poems.
Okay.
Like it doesn't even, like, it just automatically does.
Okay.
I don't know how, but that's just how it ends up.
That's what's in you.
Yeah. And I think what an incredible gift that to be able to put the emotional inside parts into that kind of a format. It's not something that everybody can do. Yeah, I think that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Do you have an emotional response to your own poetry? Like you wrote this book.
Mm-hmm.
I read it. She read it. Your therapist read some of your poetry, had emotional responses. When you go back and write it, is it like, you know what I mean? Like, do you also have an emotional response when you're reading it back, or?
When I was initially writing my poems, I did, especially that the poem "Didn't You Want This?" I cried.
Yeah.
It took me months to even write it and to even finish it, because that was me admitting to myself that this happened, and I wasn't able to do that before.
Right.
Yeah.
So it took me months to actually sit down and write the poem. I cried the entire time writing it. And now I'm just kind of like, hey, I can admit that this happened to me, and it was unfortunate, but I'm moving past it. I'm moving forward. I can live my life and say, hey, this happened, and we're gonna move forward.
What kind of conversations has it inspired? Like, have you had conversations with, like, say, your mom? You say you got all these siblings. I'm assuming some of them are sisters, and you know what I mean, things like that. Like, has this inspired some conversations with, the that I see the look on your face.
I was gonna say the look on the face.
And what does that look like? Like, that's gotta be. I'm gonna speak as a mother, right? Like, if my daughter comes to me with this, or if I see it, I mean, I'm broken in so many different ways, right? Like that is breaking my heart on so many different levels, and I don't even know what that kind of conversation would look like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm thinking that you battling with just these things, which are huge,
massive,
even of themselves. The loss of your father and your brother, and especially, I have this theory, and it's certainly no way, shape, or form taken away from the pain of your father's death and watching somebody slowly pass away. But there's, I think, a very different feeling and emotion that goes with when someone is violently taken from you, completely unexpected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so here you are experiencing all these different things. And then here as a mom, I hear you telling me this. I'm like, oh my Lord, like, what is happening, Jesus? So what were those conversations like?
I had my mom read that specific poem before I even decided that it was gonna be in a book.
Okay.
And that was my way of telling her what happened. She looked at me and she cried. And she didn't ask me why I didn't tell her. She didn't ask me, what happened? How did this happen? She just hugged me so tight. She said that she's sorry that she wasn't there for me. She feels sorry that, I put that burden on myself and just decided to carry it on my shoulders for this long without saying anything.
Yeah.
And I honestly wasn't going to put it in the book at first. I was afraid. I was afraid that I was going to get so much, feedback like, hey, why didn't you tell me this happened to you? Why are you just putting it in a book and not, telling me what happened? I could have been there for you. I could have helped you. And that's what I didn't want. Yeah. And that is kind of what I'm getting. I'm getting a lot of sorries, and I'm just like, I don't want you to be sorry.
Right.
I don't want you to feel sorry for me.
No.
That's not what I want. That's not why I wrote the book. I wanted to bring awareness.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I decided to keep it in the book.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you did.
And it has
really
its place, obviously, but I
Yeah.
think that it kind of becomes the central part of what you've written and the other things. And that to kind of follow up there, and I know I'm jumping out of order with your questions here.
okay.
Is there a reason that you split it into 3 parts is the first question. And then number 2, is there a specific flow or order that you put the other poems into the mix?
No and no.
Because
It just kind of flowed the way it did.
yeah, and
Okay.
it comes across very intentional.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like not in a space of like, hey, I sat here and was like da 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 da, but intentional in the sense of, you know, you read through the first couple, you get to that first part, and it's almost like you kind of take that breath,
Yeah.
you know, that
Gotta digest it.
yeah, and then you get to
Yeah.
process that over the next poem, and then
Yeah.
you get to the second part and the third part subsequently.
Right.
Yeah, so I was just curious. That was one of my big burning questions. Was like,
Honestly, I wanted that poem because it was so much longer than the other ones. I wanted it to be in more of a story form.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And it
So-
did.
and it
feels
did. It felt like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It felt.
yeah,
like
for
that.
sure,
Absolutely.
for sure.
So, what made you decide to do this book? Period. In general, right? Not just that poem, but you've got poems about a lot of different things in this book, right? And we can even touch on the poem also, obviously, about your brother, which is another one that's very, visceral.
Okay.
What made you decide to publish this? Like, what was your thoughts on that? It's one thing to write poetry for yourself or even your immediate circle. It's another thing for you to be vulnerable and open with strangers.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on the individual poems that I would write. I shared a lot of my poetry with people that I trusted and
Okay.
people that actually knew my situations. And they're like, Anjail, why don't you publish a book? Why don't
Yeah.
you share? And I'm just like, I'm not there yet. I had to
Okay.
really mentally prepare myself to actually put myself out there in the world, because
Yeah.
once it's out there, it's
It's
out
It's out
there.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, after I finally finished Didn't You Want This, which is actually the last poem that I wrote because it took me so long to
Yeah.
write it, I was just like, I want people to share their truth.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want people to not be afraid to say what they have to say, regardless of what it is. And if me putting myself out there and being vulnerable is what it's going to take for people to be vulnerable and open up themselves, then that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Man,
Yeah.
very incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think again, another thing that we've talked about is pain and experiences not being wasted. Right.
Right.
And so I think, which is kind of what you're talking about right there, is just we go through things, and if we can't give it away, whatever the lessons are, the healing, the connection, that whatever something good comes from it in order to, for all of us to kind of do better, then we wasted that journey. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that's incredible. Have you gotten any since you've published it? So when was it official? Because I don't know if we got it on its official publication date. I don't know how long, or
Yeah.
if it was, So how have you gotten feedback, and what is that feedback? How you feeling now that it's out there?
I published it on the 1st of this month.
Oh, wow.
We did get it right.
Yeah, we
okay,
did.
Okay, we did. We
Yeah.
did. All
I
right.
published it on the 1st, and I've gotten so much feedback. It's awesome. They're very
Good.
encouraging, and I love it. I love it so much, and
Okay.
it makes me keep going. I'm actually
Yeah.
starting my second book. So
Oh,
Very
nice.
cool.
Look at you.
That's awesome.
So I don't want to jump. I know you got another.
You are
questions?
literally stepping all over my. No, I'm just
I'm
kidding.
sorry.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay, so I just with that when we're talking about that, who, and I because your poems could absolutely be for anybody, but do you have a specific audience? Are you gearing this towards women? Are you gearing this towards men? I mean, because you know, a man could look at this and from obviously the perspective of, oh my goodness, this is how, you know, what we are doing to women, or this is how women could feel about this. Women could certainly look at it and say, yeah, I identify that this is the place that I am in. So I see where it has its place on both sides. But did you have a specific audience in mind when you were kind of putting this together? And regardless of what that answer is, yes or no, your readers, period, what do you want? Like, what do you want them to get from this book?
My audience is for everyone because, like I said, the poem "Didn't You Want This?" You know, it deals with a lot of pain that a lot of women and even some men have been through. This, you know.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, the poem about my brother, you know, it's very relatable to a lot of gun violence that is just happening in the world. And even the Curls in All poem, you know, there's a lot of women and men that deal with self-image issues.
Absolutely.
And I want to uplift them. So I think it's for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that too. I mean, you know, looking at it from an audience perspective, I know even though we've had similar experiences, but we've also had dissimilar experiences, we both pulled something from literally every poem in here.
Right.
So I want to touch on one in particular because it was the outside of the kind of the main theme. This one stuck out to me in a space of healing and vulnerability, and that was naked. Can you kind of give us a little bit of where you were when you wrote that one? Where were you healing? And that's the one I would like to read, if that's okay, whenever you're done with the... Okay. So I'll read it first, and then you can give us your thoughts on where you were. All right. So the title of the poem is Naked. I'm afraid, frightened even, that if you knew the real me, you'd run away. Can you handle me? All of me? The parts you can't see. I'm afraid of being naked, being vulnerable and seen for...
Okay, friend.
I'm sorry, guys.
Okay.
Being vulnerable and seen for who I am. I have a lot of scars and open wounds that are still fresh. I am not all the way mended. Will you judge me? Will you understand? I am far from perfect, but no one is, so I'll get naked for you. Treat me gently.
All right. God. Now everybody's in tears. Okay.
It's hot. It's hot in here.
It is hot.
Oh.
All right, look. Okay, Anjail. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Speak on it.
Yeah,
sis.
please do.
Speak on it.
I was in a place where I didn't feel good about myself as a person. And there was so much that I was going through and so much that I didn't speak on. And I just wanted to be loved. That's all I wanted. I blamed myself for a lot of things that happened. You know, I was going through so much with my parents and a lot of my friends, and I felt like I wasn't doing anything right. And when there was someone that wanted to get to know me, who I was, you know, after everything that I've been through, the assault and losing my family, I didn't look at myself the same. I couldn't. I felt like a lot of things were my fault, and I felt like I still needed to be mended. And love didn't come easy to me then. Yeah. It didn't. I felt like I was pushing people away just because I was going through so much. And I realized I couldn't do that. And I needed to love myself first before I could love someone else. So I figured, you know, Naked was a way for me to explain to someone that, hey, I'm trying to rebuild myself, but I need patience and I need kindness and understanding, so I'm going to allow myself to be vulnerable with you, but you can't take advantage of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's huge, because that again, this poem could be read in so many different ways. It could be read in between, in a romantic relationship type setting,
Right.
But certainly just a person to the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not just
from that space.
from a romantic space, but from just in general. Friend, what was your response?
You saw it.
I know, but I guess it's, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I'm that's how I interpreted it when I read it, like as far as where you were coming from and where you may have been writing it from, just based on the other poems that were in here. And I know that that's something, obviously we just talked about that with the photo shoot thing. That was such a very superficial level of that. But for me, same thing. It's like, it's not just the physical, it's also the inside, it's the emotional and the being vulnerable from that space. And I think that that's how I felt when I was reading that too. And just not having necessarily the language to say it myself. Yeah. And so thank you for putting it into such incredibly beautiful words to be able to relate to that and to be able to say it in a way that I couldn't and I didn't know how to. So yeah. Okay. All right.
So there it is.
Oh man.
I think that's and my comment on it was going to be very similar, in the sense that I think you are correct. Each and every one of us wants to see and be seen for exactly who we are. Good, bad, right, wrong, flaws, brokenness, growth, like all of those pieces. And for a person to love us, because of, in spite of, like just period, right? And that's the ultimate, I think, like desire to be able to have a connection that way. And those types of connections are few and far between. And some of which is from our own hangups of feeling like if I do get naked in front of you, that you won't like what you see. And so I keep this to myself because I don't want to change your perspective on me. But some of it is because of the response that we get back, that we do take that chance. We are vulnerable. And then people, rejection is a mother.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And so, that kind of, I think everybody, no matter who you are or what you've been through, 1000% has had a moment in your life where that poem, that feeling, is relevant.
Yeah. 1000%.
Again, I know it's just because of life and the things but for you to be so young, I'm 42.
I'm 38.
Okay.
I just felt like saying it.
So, but I mean, that's the point, right? And so for you to be, and I say so young, you're 25 and you're so young, but to have so much perspective and so much insight, is, girl, listen, you didn't save yourself like 2 decades worth of hard work. Some people never get it, right? Like some people never get it. So that's incredible that you have, you've gotten to this place in such a short amount of time. I know life has not been easy for you, and that's certainly, the trade-off with that. But I mean, that's incredible. I have to ask, because I'm just nosy like that.
I don't know what's about to come out of her mouth.
Are you in a relationship?
There we go.
I am actually single.
Okay. And like she said, single. Well, the only reason why I asked is because I just wanted to see if the significant other in your life, you know what I mean, had seen this and was kind of, what that looked like between the two of you. But look, I guess we ain't gonna talk about that.
No.
I'm very much single.
Look,
well, maybe we could change that. You want us to put your number at the bottom of these comments?
I can't. Don't listen to her. Yeah, no. Mm-mm. Don't listen to her. Oh my goodness.
I'm sure they just can't handle. They can't handle you. Not yet.
Not yet. Nope.
No, you won't need you somebody like in his 40 for real. Girl, you
Yes,
too.
I
Yeah,
do.
you too far. Leaps and bounds. Just leaps and bounds. Too far ahead. So, is there anything, because I think, we can kind of get to this point of like motivation, right? Motivation.
I want to ask mine real quick.
Oh, please do.
And it'll tie into motivation because
Okay.
I think that it's important to also kind of, I know we always say, I don't know what the future holds, but
Yeah.
is there anything that you are setting yourself up for? I know we talked about school. What does the future look like for you?
I actually want to be a counselor.
That is
Okay.
incredible.
I want to help people in the way that I wasn't helped when I was younger,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but was helped when I was an adult.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Very cool.
And this naturally lends to that, right? That purpose. This everything that has gone on in your life naturally leads you in that direction. So
definitely.
we again, we kind of talk about everybody is an answer to a problem, right? And that's what your purpose is. Your purpose is finding that problem that you fit, that you can come in and kind of bring light and understanding and love and growth to. And so I think that, that makes perfect sense. You hear some people's visions and you be like,
Yeah, like it
you
doesn't.
know that is not for
Yeah.
you.
Stop it. Stop it right now.
Listen, you might want to go back and rethink that.
Yeah.
But this sounds so, and even us just meeting you and get to know you. I mean, just even your spirit.
Yeah.
You just have such a soft, quiet, like just peaceful spirit about you. I don't know if you putting that on for us today because you don't want to be super hyped, but I'm just saying, you just come across very soothing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that makes total sense.
Yeah.
I can see that.
So then in staying in line with that, and anything that you want to convey to the audience or anybody that's listening in particular, what's some really good motivation that you would like to put out there?
Just speak your truth. Do what you have to do for you to heal. Be there for yourself foremost. Your peace of mind and your sanity comes first and foremost.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Couldn't agree with that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you just to expand on that just a little bit? When you say be there for yourself, what does that look like in real life?
Being there for yourself could be a different thing for anybody, like doing what you love to do,
Okay.
hobby wise, and getting your spiritual, your mind, your heart, and your physical right, the way that you want to be happy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I think that I'm going to throw the same thing out there. Like self-care is the best care, and finding things that work for you as far as that bring you that joy.
Yeah.
It's not about a reward mechanism. We're talking like pure joy. What brings you bliss?
Yeah.
And making sure that it's helpful and healthful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I second that.
So my motivation is going to be that obviously in line with what we've already kind of talked about, but we just had a moment of it where we experienced it, that two people who have never met each other, who have never, you are in one state and we are in another, right? Your path has never crossed with Katie's, right? And ever in life. You guys aren't friends, you don't hang out, or in the same circles, nothing.
Right.
But your experience and the fact that you were brave enough and, just reflective enough to be able to speak your truth and to put into words your experiences, your pain, all of those different things. You touch someone that you've never met, right? Like in a way you were able to give voice to something that she also was walking through. Very different journey, different birth year, everything, like all kind of stuff, right? But you were that connection was able to be made just by you being brave enough to take one step. Now, when you was sitting down writing those poems, you wasn't thinking about Katie because you didn't know her, but God was. And that's going to be like, right? But God was. and he knew that what you had to say, she needed to hear. And so that is my motivation, that when I think that we need to get to a place where fear is not the answer, where fear of what people are going to think, what's going to happen, because you are an answer to what somebody else needs. You are an answer to somebody else's prayer, somebody else's problem. You are able to give perspective, voice to whatever. And we have to start getting to a place where we are brave enough to do that. And when we are, incredible things happen. Incredible things happen. So I hope that anybody who was watching this was on the fence about whether or not they're going to tell their story, whether or not they're going to step out and do that thing, whatever it is, that they will see how impactful it can be. You just never know.
Yeah.
You're going to make me cry.
And please, look. And keep pressing into this. I mean, you have such a gift, such an incredible gift. And to be able to share that is incredible. So I'm going to motivate you to keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
But I can't wait for the second one, So we look forward to what you have to bring out again to the world. And I'm so excited for you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And we hope that you will maybe come back and be a guest on a different topic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you can certainly come back when the next book comes out, but we love to have you, come and talk about something else.
Yeah.
Like about how we gonna hook you up and get you.
Okay.
Please do. Please.
I don't know if you want her advice.
You don't want my advice, girl. Please, you don't want my advice.
Just saying.
So that we will definitely A Girl Set Free by Anjail Thompson. You can find it on Amazon. Correct?
Yes.
Amazon. You
Under
can download it on Kindle.
The Kindle. Yeah.
One, let's be supportive of this beautiful young lady.
Yes.
But two, let's get some perspective and healing.
Yes.
And, share it with a friend and a sister and a brother
everybody.
And a neighbor.
Share with
and
everybody.
A cousin and everybody else out there. We want to make sure that we hyping and get you, get this message out there. Get this message going. So
we'll link it below.
Yes, we will.
So if you make it easier for everybody, we'll link it below.
To be able to follow it.
Go right there.
Go to it and be able to buy the book for themselves. So congratulations to you. It has been incredible. So wonderful to meet you. Thank you for being on with us today. We hope you enjoyed the rest of your day.
Yes. Me too. Don't forget. Okay.
I'm not going to forget.
You had one job. One job.
And
she always messes this up.
And it's hit or miss.
It's literally hit or miss.
Thank y'all. We love y'all. We hope that you guys have a fantastic, wonderful week. We hope that you have enjoyed this conversation with us today. And Anjail, we are so glad she was on. And we hope that you got something out of it. Please go and support, buy her book and see what your thoughts are. I'm sure she would be more than happy to hear what you think about it. So would we.
Yes.
Make sure that you like, subscribe, follow us on all of our social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all of if you don't want to see our faces, which I don't understand why you would not, but okay. You can listen to us on all of our podcasting, or all of the podcasting platforms.
Yes.
Podbean, iHeartRadio, Pandora,
Spotify,
iTunes, Google Podcasting. We're there. All right. We'll see y'all. Y'all have a wonderful week. Bye.